up to you.
I think their first match is Carolina, so if they get that win, 3-1.
So welcome here, Virginia Pro Paintball Exhibition here at Chesapeake Paintball. Matty Marshall, Rich Telford about to jump into this first set, and it's a great one. New York Xtreme taking on Baltimore Revo yesterday. Big upset loss for Revo as they got beat by one of the semi-pro teams here, Austin Notorious, who's playing really good. Notorious finished their day with 2 wins, getting a victory against the Outlaws and against Revo. Revo the big favorite here. Revo taking top 4 3 times in the NXL and looking to have a big 2021 season. So this is a legit, real rivalry between these squads.
Oh, for sure. These guys, they know each other very, very well, and they do not like to lose to each other.
They've played each other 4 times in the NXL. 3 times Revo has been the victor. So on paper, you got to give this one to Revo. I mean, Revo is an outstanding team, and they could potentially be an elite team here this year. And they definitely are very frustrated, had real long meetings yesterday with the loss to Notorious. I talked to Henry Sense at length this morning, and he knows that the reason they lost that, and everyone on that team, everyone that was watching knows they had no snake presence. So I'm looking for Dan Zaleski to step up. I'm looking for Zupa to step up when he's over here. And it looks like Zaleski staying alive here, first point and getting into snake 1. And now he's going to hit the deck and crawl up. Harris Hussein with a big fill out wide, and I think he got clipped. That was a little too big of a bite there, Rich.
Yeah, a little too big, especially when Will was right there, and Will could have just gone across.
And I think it was his boy Henry Sense that gets that kill on Harris Hussein. And now Dan Zaleski's doing Dan Zaleski things finally here in the snake. He's past the 50-yard line. He's shooting crossfield, no kills yet, but putting a lot of pressure here on New York Xtreme, Rich, in this first point.
Yeah, and, you know, so there was a meme, a couple pictures going around yesterday, kind of making fun of the fact that Revo was beat by a semi-pro team. And those possibly were thrown out there by the New York Xtreme guys because of the rivalry we've been talking about.
Allegedly.
And honestly, it made me smile. It made me so happy, you know, like, because it was such a funny thing. Big move there by Will Helens to try to win that game. Oh, no, Jerry Carr trying to win that point.
But look at this, though. This is what you want to see if you're a Revo
Exactly.
fan. So
Omar's right in there.
Yeah, so Zaleski's in great position doing what he's supposed to do. Big move by Carl to take out Zaleski, but then Omaro takes over the attack. Still 2 bodies left alive on that D side here from New York Xtreme, and it looks like they're going to get taken out pretty quick. So that's another solid point here for Baltimore Revo after, you know, Baltimore Revo in their very first 2 matches looked about as good as you can look. They only had 1 point scored on them in 2 matches.
Yeah, and they were playing fast and loose. They were just 5 across the back, wherever they got a kill. You know, they didn't even look like they had a game plan. They're just like, hey, we'll just break out. Wherever we shoot the bodies, that's where we'll push. If we lose a couple bodies, we'll get back up and we'll go. No pressure at all.
Yeah, and then obviously different story in that loss to Notorious, but it was really easy to identify and diagnose. They just had no snake presence. No one on their team could, and also Omara did not play well in the center, which is uncharacteristic. And they know it. I talked to them this morning. They understand that they have to have a snake presence, and we just saw a completely different look here, kind of like they looked like in their first couple games.
Yeah, well,
So
and it's interesting because I talked to him this morning when you were talking to him, and one of the things we said is, hey, when you guys play aggressively, you play really well. Yeah. When you sit back and try to play defensively and counterpunch, you don't play as well. Yeah. And they came out there and they took Dorito 3 early. They beat New York to the snake, so they beat them to all the punches. Yeah. Applied pressure, and New York had no answers.
Yeah, they came up. They definitely came into this one up and ready to play. So now jumping into the match between the 2 semi-pro squads here at this exhibition, and both these squads looked pretty good yesterday, Rich. Notorious looked a little bit better, though. And Notorious going to get that first kill on Crisis. Crisis is on your left, and Notorious is in the all-white jerseys with FSU on the back.
Yeah. Lauderfield's into Snake 1 looking inside for FSU. And, you know, he played really well yesterday, but what I'd like to see him do here is with nobody in his tape, nobody in the God, nobody in the Snake Tower, nobody in the corner, I would love to see him crawl forward and shoot everybody on the other team because that's what we want out of that position that he's playing.
Like what Dan Zaleski did in that last point was pretty textbook. So, and Lauder did play well yesterday.
Yeah, he got kills in the middle. He moved up. He played well. Either he doesn't know there's nobody in front of him or no one's giving him that information. But if he does know that, I would expect him to play a little bit more aggressively. And it looks like now he's kind of figuring it out, Matty. Maybe he was just waiting to get his gun back up.
Yeah, and interesting story with Notorious is they only have 5 players with the skeleton crew out here as they had an injury to Brandon White. Brandon White's actually up here with us in the commentator booth right now. And
yeah, poor Brandon.
He had some good things to say, though. I really like the way that these guys are approaching their semi-pro journey, a team that was D2 and just a year ago. And now Lauder's past the 50-yard line here, Rich, and doing work.
Yeah, gets a kill across field on the Dorito. Now he's putting pressure on the Dorito Tower, which forces that guy to play that bunker as small as he can. Makes it really hard for him to shut off that Dorito lane that he was trying to shut off. I believe Carolina's only got 2 players left alive, Matty. 1 at home and 1 in the Dorito Tower. And FSU's putting a lot of pressure on them. All those guys are up on their guns. Oh, there was a third guy in that center can. He's now eliminated. Towers eliminated. Only one player left alive for FSU.
Ooh, looks like Marky Franz catches one getting a little sloppy over that top here on this close. That's something they're going to have to work on. Make sure if you're up bodies and you have the positions that you're not throwing bodies away recklessly.
Yeah, they lose another player on the other tape, Maddie. So now it's down to, it was a 5-on-1. Now it's a 3-on-1.
If this kid pulls off this 1-on-5, that'll be absolutely nasty. But Lauder's going to try to get in there and make quick work of him. So got a couple kills, but still was looking at 3 bodies and how much he could do out there.
Paul pushing down that Dorito side. Had a lot of good points yesterday. Although they did not hit the buzzer and no one's conceded, so hopefully they don't jog. There you go. I was afraid they were going to jog off the field there.
Yeah, the starting lineup right now for Notorious, putting that first point on the board, it's Keegan Lauder here in the Snake. And you got Galvin. He also plays the Snake side, but he also plays the D side. Ty Bateman, Paul Hubert, and then Marky Franz.
Yeah, Paul Hubert. I met him this morning. Nice kid. He was doing good. He was the guy who was kind of holding it down and doing work over on the Dorito side yesterday consistently.
Yeah, we've seen this Dorito side's pretty strong. This is a field layout from Chantilly, so just north of Paris from 2018.
Matt and I vacation there all the time.
Yeah, where the lace is from. But it's an interesting layout. Obviously, Snake side, D side, very potent. But that D side yesterday was getting attacked a ton.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If there's no guns on them, they go, right? So you have to have a dedicated gun that way because the bunkers are so close together that if you're not stopping them, they're going to go.
Yeah, so I had some standouts. I thought, CJ Cantor for New York Xtreme, trying to earn a spot on that squad, and he played pretty well for him on the D side. And then Chris Shearer for Revo also played really well on the D side for them. So those are guys trying to step up and make these starting squads for these pro teams, 2 pro teams that want to have a good 2021.
Revo just lined up on the box, Matty, with 4 dudes on the Dorito side. At the last second, shifted 2 guys to the Snake side. They're trying to sell the one Snake, 4 Dorito push.
So this time, Jared Caro, who was pretty much lights out for New York Xtreme yesterday, into the Snake very quickly here, and see if Revo can get some offense going on this side. They got a body in the back corner bunker, taking some ground, a good 5-on-5 break, and it looks like a little miscommunication, a little miscue here.
Jerry gets a kill out of the center of the field.
But I like this. Henry Sense, who also played really well yesterday, and it's some good counterpunch paintball even when they were playing bad. Jerry Carroll catches one in his eye, and Henry Sense is going to take over the attack here for Revo, and the Snake is going to crawl up, get past the 50. Revo is looking pretty good right here. Henry been spending a lot of time in the gym, showing up to this season real slim.
Well, as we were talking last night about your man wrangling.
Oh, look at this nasty move from Henry Sense. He comes on the run.
Wow.
Shoots out Josh Taylor. He's going to get a nice little 3-pack here to finish things off. And Henry Sense came to play some paintball this morning.
He got Canner, too.
Is that 4-pack?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And, Jerry Carr got in there early, got that first kill in the center of the field, but then kind of played loose up over the top and got caught. And what we need him to do is drop to his butt, crawl down that field, shoot the guy in front of him, and allow the other 2 guys behind him fill that Snake. And those guys on the Dorito side, when Cannon goes into that Dorito 1, he can see the gap from God to Snake. So I was kind of surprised that he didn't check off on that gap and immediately just engaged outside because he could have caught both of those guys trying to fill through that huge gap.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue with this specific layout in that Snake is how much am I going to be attacking? How much am I going to be shooting inside? Obviously, a conversation you're having constantly. But that center, this is not a center of the field where you're going to have guys up there constantly omnipresent, always as somebody at the center of the field. This is not that type of center. The center is, there's options out there. You have to be a little bit smart, a little bit more creative to find those options because the Snake is potent and the D side is so potent.
Yeah. When you have this strong a Snake on a field, it's really hard usually to play the center of the field, unless they've basically built all the bunkers that are opposing to the Snake.
And it's deceptive because you look at the center of the field, think, oh my God, look at all those big bricks and the big wedge, but it's not the easiest center to play. It looks like Crisis is going to be losing a body here as Notorious doubles up that back center, but Notorious is going to lose their Snake.
Lauder, yeah, Adams played well yesterday, Lauder played well yesterday, 4-on-4, similar field positions.
Crisis with a couple moves on the D side to put themselves in better position, but they're going to be losing their first attacker over there. He's going to be taking the walk, trying to get into D2.
3-on-4 advantage here for FSU. Now
penalty on
bad
Crisis.
penalty for Crisis. So he's going to get pulled. Pull one more. So only one player left alive for Crisis. They probably want to concede this clock, Maddie. Try to save the clock. Yeah.
Notorious is still looking really good, man.
Yeah, just lost Lauder there early that point, but other than that, didn't lose another body.
But the thing with Notorious is as we get deeper into the day, how much are they going to have in the tank? Obviously, it's a young team.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. That's tough,
Cardio should be up for these guys.
Cardio should be up, but still running point after point after point against some of the best athletes in the world is not going to put you at your best game. 4th or 5th point, you're not playing as well as you did the 1st, 2nd point.
Yeah. So Notorious today here against Crisis, up by 2. Austin Notorious will be playing NRG Elite 2 sets from now.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting match.
And then they're also going to play the MLKings later on today.
Jerry Caro going out, Greg, Josh Taylor.
Taylor's been playing really well for New York Xtreme. Played well at World Cup for him.
He's just solid. He doesn't seem to make mistakes. You know, he's not out there.
Smart paintball.
Yeah, he's not down there running down the field, smashing people out, but he's not making any mistakes. Communicates, shoots his gun well. Unlike Harris getting out there late like that.
All right, here we go on the breakout. 2-point lead for Revo. See if New York Xtreme gets some sort of offense going. They don't risk too many bodies here. Going across the field, though, getting body out wide on the D side. Here comes CJ Cantor. He moves up. So a good break here. CJ Cantor continuing to move forward here on the D side as Revo's losing some bodies.
Yeah, Jerry Carl filling snake one now.
Yeah, Walchesson already in the snake. 4 bodies alive. It's a 4-on-5 situation. Better field position. Actually equal field position now on the D side with the move from Zupa. Oh, but it looks like
Jerry gets that kill.
Yeah, O'Mara getting taken out by Jerry Caro. Just love how proactive Caro is in the snake. Like, look at Caro compared to Walchesson right now.
Yep. Yep. One's maximizing his position, shooting across the field, communicating. The other guy's just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, Walchesson taking a lot of paint from down that sideline.
It's Harris.
From Harris.
Yeah, Harris has been really
set that
disciplined.
tempo.
Yeah, and that's all he's doing, Matt. He's just trying to keep him from going from snake 1 to snake 2. And the second he puts him in, look what happens. He goes.
So he bided his time, but Walchesson able to make it into mirror up the move with Jerry Carl. Now he's going to wrap the tape and look to move forward. You got to be careful here on this transition. Gets up, so real good spot. And they're also looking pretty good still across the field, as looks like CJ Cantor forced to take the walk, getting shot from D4.
Yeah.
Oh, but Carl going to run down, shoot Jake, and then he's going to stay alive too. So Jerry Carl going to get a free kill on that back center.
And that's what New York needed a little bit better from Jerry yesterday. He was having those points where he'd go out and get 2 kills, but then he'd have 3 guns on him, and he'd be like, okay, now I'm going to gunfight these 3 guys. But that was a really good point. Got the key kill, stayed alive the whole time. Amazing. Oh, uh-oh, here goes Harris.
Harris is just standing in front of the netting over here by Revo's staging area, just chirping at him. I talked to Henry this morning, like I was saying before. One of the things we did talk about, he's like, we're not going to let Harris try to get in our heads. If he starts jawing
Well, everybody says that.
That's true. That's very true.
Of course you're not going to let him get in your head.
The one loss that they did take to New York Xtreme was when Drula ended up, Harris was getting mouthy and Drula got a major penalty. And, so
gave it away.
Yeah. So they're trying not to recreate that here.
That's just got to feed Harris more.
But yeah, but good point from Jerry Carl to keep this one close, 2-1
stay live.
score. I think it was like a little 3-pack to finish.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl.
Well, he already got a kill earlier, right?
Yeah, he did.
So 4-pack.
Yeah, 4-pack for Carl. So now these 2 semi-pro teams going to battle in this next point. 12-17 to go. 2-point lead here for Austin Notorious.
Yeah, so I was trying to say earlier, if Notorious wins this, they're going to be 3-1. And I don't think, other than them, I don't think anybody expected them to be 3-1 here. Big move up the center from Carolina Crisis. Went to that center brick on the Dorito side. He's going to look snake side and try to keep Lauder from going forward. Tough kind of sometimes to gunfight out of those big bricks because they're so kind of rounded at the edge that, you know, either your feet are exposed or your hopper's exposed. It's tough to gunfight out of there. But he wins the gunfight and shoots Lauder out of there. Lauder making a bad decision there. He did not need to stay in gunfight. He could have crawled forward, crawled all the way past that Crisis player and just come up and shot him in the face.
It's so hard not to engage with the most present threat.
For sure.
But definitely not the smartest decision because no one was in the snake with him.
Nope.
And now throwing that position away. So Notorious with a body out wide still here on the snake side, back corner bunker.
Yep.
And they do have a body in D1, so they have a decent crossfield spread, but just no forward progression.
Yeah, it's a 4-on-3, Matty, or 4-on-4. Both teams with 4 bodies, but Crisis is definitely more in the offensive positions. They got the center 50, they got Dorito 2, they got the God bunker. FSU's kind of just shooting their guns. Looks like their Dorito guy might have a gun problem. His hopper's off his gun. Crisis loses their snake player. 3-on-4 advantage now for FSU, although one of the FSU players in Dorito 1 does have his hopper completely off his gun.
Not a good sign.
Nope, and can't be looking at him to clock in, holding any lanes. Probably won't be shooting anybody. This guy in the snake corner, I think the snake corner, other than the snake, is probably the most important bunker on this field. Because if you can get outside and wrap in it, you can control your mirror, you can control the god, you can control the tower.
Death by Marky Franz, just getting a little bit greedy coming over the top of that, the god bunker, that wedge behind the snake. That
would be probably the one criticism on Marky is he tries a little too hard. You know, he just pushes a little too hard sometimes and gets caught in those key points, doing stuff you shouldn't do, you know, over the top or, you know, making a gap, making a fill, something like that.
So still Carolina Crisis' point to win right now. They have position and they're in a high body situation.
Yeah, 3-on-3. Carolina Crisis 1 in Dorito 3, 1 in the center brick, 1 in God. FSU's got 2 on the Dorito side, 1 in the Dorito 1, 1 in the Dorito tower. Their third player's in the snake corner.
Yeah, and everyone just kind of locked in a gunfight right now. No one wanted to make a move here from Crisis to take advantage of this high body situation. They know they're down by 2. They want to make sure they get this point on the board to keep it close. We're under 10 minutes to go. So still no one in the snake for Crisis. Look for him to make that move, and he does. Dives into snake 1, goes right to snake 2. Gonna look cross field. Same positions for Notorious, and here comes the push up on the D side. There's some miscommunication there. Oh, actually, no, okay, so they had improved their position. So Notorious had gone up to D3 and body in D1. But that nice move from Crisis goes up, bunkers out D3, sacrifices his body.
But gets it both.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-on-1 right now.
2-on-1, yep. 2 Carolina, 1 player for FSU. FSU's in the God. Carolina's got 1 in the snake, 1 going down the Drew side.
And he just said the correct call right now. Only 1 body left, so should be able to finish this one off as they have the count. He's going to run into the gun. Got to be careful here and able to take him out. So Crisis finally getting on the board.
Yeah, that's got to feel good.
2-1 will be the score.
The Crisis player is not really sure exactly. I haven't been in this situation before. And once I shoot everybody, what do I do? How much time's left? 8:45 left. So plenty of time left in this match. It's only 1-point match now.
Yeah. Much better look for Crisis. Switched up their game plan a little bit. Took a lot of ground in the center off the break. It worked out right away for him as Water decided to engage. Foolish decision, and it cost them. And so they went up early and just never let up that pressure, which is very important because Notorious, Rich, we saw them yesterday making some really intelligent moves, not as scared to attack, but they kind of just got stuck in their spots.
I agree. Waiting to be the better team, waiting to make good decisions.
Yeah, and then Marky got shot out of the God bunker, so that put him in a continuing the low body situation. Finally, they make moves on the D side, but just fell basically into the trap. Then Crisis made the move, bunkered him out, and then they cleaned up the 2-on-1. So other than Crisis losing, I think a body, they lost 2 bodies that they shouldn't have lost. So it wasn't quite a perfect point, but still, you only need 1 guy left alive to hit that buzzer.
And teams have strengths and weaknesses, and certain fields are conducive to certain styles of play. But out here, we've seen down on bodies, like with NRG losing 2 on the break. If you still push on the tapes, you can win these games. You can win out here. But if you sit in the back and wait for the other team to get into all the key positions, it gets really hard to live in those back spots.
Looking at Revo here, a little bit of a new roster. No Max Trailer here. They don't have Derula. Derula will be in the mix this year at the NXLs, but not here for this one. And then they picked up Chris Shear. I don't know if he's on the squad yet, but he's been playing really well for Revo. So Revo on the left-hand side here, York Xtreme on the right. Both wearing similar jerseys, so it's tough to tell. But now Revo going to get Zupa into Snake too.
Yeah, seems like a really smart guy. It's the first time I talked to him this morning. Seems like a really intelligent.
Yeah, very level-headed.
Yeah,
seems like
athletic,
at least,
smart.
At least when the game's not going, but
not smart enough not to drop the penalty though.
First commentator curse here of the day, and it's going to pull out. Looks like Frank and Tomaso. So they're definitely switching up their personnel and where they're putting everybody. But that penalty with Carl in front of him, Carl just taking full advantage of it. So this is going to tie things up here. Carl can finish things off.
Yeah, and I think it's a 4-on-2 or 5-on-2, Matty. 5-on-1 now.
Yes.
Just 5 on nobody.
Yeah, the penalty was, that was the coffin nail here in this one. A little bit of a gift for New York Xtreme, and they definitely made the most of it. Still 4 bodies alive for New York Xtreme. Oh, they knew this was coming.
Yeah, dude.
When York Xtreme starts putting points on the board, Harris starts chirping and getting
I
frustrated.
would just sit myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to play this match because if we win, I'm going to talk smack. But if we lose, it's just not worth it. I can't get worn out by Harris the whole time. It's just too emotionally draining. Mom's calling, grandma's calling. Did he just say that? Did he just say that?
Yeah, so they threw that one away on a needless penalty there on Zupa. I didn't see exactly where he took the hit.
It looked like chest/collarbones where the referee was poking in on him.
So,
and the ref must have seen something on the break.
It's only a minor, but still, just having Carl immediately take advantage of that and get all the way down the snake side. I mean, Carl is definitely one of those players that once he sees that opportunity, he's not just going to sit, bide his time, think about it too much. No, he's just going to make the quick move and take over that position, and then gun shifted, and it was a pretty easy point thereafter.
10 seconds.
8:25 to go in this one. Another close one here. 2-1 our two semi-pro squads. Notorious with the 2 wins yesterday. Crisis also put a win on the board against the MLKings in a really close 4-3 match.
Yeah, they look surprisingly good. I think, you know, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. There's not a ton of pressure here at these events. It's not like a national event where you've, you know, given up a bunch of weekends, you spend a bunch of money.
But there's enough pressure.
There's enough pressure to make it real, right? And then everybody's still watching at you, but it's not so much pressure as life and death. And certainly for if you're coming into this as a semi-pro, man, you shouldn't really have any pressure. All you should be here to do is make as many mistakes as you can so you can learn from those mistakes here and not make them at a national event where it costs more money. Both teams with defensive postures here, Matty. The Lauder's in the God bunker looking inside. The attacker on the Dorito side for Crisis is looking inside. Oh, and they gets him again. If I was Lauder, I'd just stop gunfighting with that guy across the field.
Yeah,
He's got his number.
That's a couple early deaths here. 2 points in a row for Lauder. So we'll see if Notorious can continue to push this snake with no Lauder on this side now. 2 points in a row.
Crisis is using that can on this side, Matty, to shut down that snake gap. We haven't seen a lot of the other teams using that, but I looked at it this morning, and that D1 and that can on this side are probably the 2 best bunkers to stop the gap between the God and the snake. Hard to wrap to put those guys in, and you've got a clear look. So if you miss the guy, at least you know for sure that he's there.
Yeah, good communication right now from Crisis.
Yeah, both teams, right? It seems like they're playing well, you know, running their guns, not making any big mistakes. These longer the points go, the more often people, you know, one guy will make a mistake on the team. So it's showing a lot of maturity that these guys can come out here and play these longer, slower points. Marky Franz over here is so confident in his gunfighting. He's taken over the gunfighting of his one. Trying to hold down the guy in front of him, keep them out of the snake as he tries to attack it.
Oh, but looks like
he looks like he gets his kill.
Yeah, the body getting thrown away here.
Marky calls the kill. Carolina's got another guy in front of him, though, in the God bunker.
Yeah, it looks Notorious here doubled up in the wedge here, the God bunker behind the snake, and looking like they want to get a body in here, but they are looking at 2 guns this way. So, you know, Crisis definitely doing a good enough job of putting enough pressure on these guys to keep them in their spots for just a little bit here.
Yeah, that Crisis player, though, needs to learn how to shoot with his left hand, and he also needs to learn how to load with his gun up because he keeps dropping the gap, looking the other way, and Marky and those guys could go into that snake when he gets off that gap. Oh, Marky's shot from across the field as the Crisis player moves up.
So 2 points in a row now where both Marky Franz and Lauder have been shot out of their spots early.
Yep, crossfield. Crisis player now moving to the center brick, looking to again cut down the snake as they lose a player on the Dorito side. 2 FSU players left alive, maybe 3. Yeah, 3 FSU players left alive, and I see at least 3 Crisis players left alive. Dorito, 2, center brick, and God. So again, 3-on-3 here, Matty. And what we talked about yesterday, what we were talking about earlier, I'm sorry, is, you know, when you're in a 3-on-3, if you just sit back and give the other team the snake and let the other team push up the Doritos, you're going to be in trouble. You've got to meet him in the snake, you got to meet him in the Doritos, and then hope you win that one-on-one.
Yeah, that Revo loss made that blatantly apparent.
Crystal clear.
Yeah, you have to have a presence on the snake side if the opposition has a presence on the snake side.
I think the MLKings also helped with the clarity on that, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And then now Crisis throwing a body wave, just getting Cyclops in that center spot. So,
and that's that guy who's playing so well up the middle there, too.
Yeah, so that's going to allow Notorious here to get into the snake, too, and also has a body behind him. So they are looking good here on this snake side of the field. There is one body in front of them.
Yeah, God bunker corner now filled to the God, now filled to the snake, which is probably where he wants to be. Unfortunately, it's tough when you get in the snake with 2 guys in front of you because you can't afford to trade out.
Yeah, he has to be pretty crafty in here. Definitely cannot just run the first body down.
Yeah, guy in the snake corner for FSU sounds like he's got no gun. Yeah, he's definitely got no gun.
So now that's an audible cue, though. And when you hear that, you obviously don't want to just start running a guy down immediately. Oh, look at this, though.
Smart
so he
play.
knows that, oh, wow, was he able to put enough paint on him to work? Oh, that was definitely a smart play. His gun's not working. He knows he needs to get close and stab somebody, and it's exactly what he does.
At the same time, though, Paul Huber gets shot out of the Dorito corner for FSU. So now it's a one-on-one. Dorito side versus Snake side.
Yeah, and I don't think that Galvin here knows that it's a one-on-one.
I don't know if he knows, but I think he knows. He was on the right gap, and he missed that guy going across.
Yeah, see, he's still gunned up in front of him, like there's a body in front of him, and that's going to allow his opponent to just take all the ground, and now he's in a bad spot. So now Galvin has to protect his buzzer. So once you get past that 50-yard line in a one-on-one situation, now see again, Galvin with the tactical retreat, heading back towards his own side of the field to protect that buzzer. I mean, that's the goal out here. So a little bit quicker read and react for Crisis in this situation, forcing Galvin to play a little bit defensive here.
Yeah. Crisis guy yelling to his buddy as if he had a buddy to try to throw off Galvin here.
Also an intelligent move to do.
Yeah, yeah. Galvin was smart to come back. His gun wasn't working earlier, so hopefully he's got it up now.
Yeah, obviously, yelling to a non-existent teammate can be a really good thing, but you are going to be giving your position away when you do that.
For sure.
So he's closing the gap here to get a little bit closer and catches Galvin
Wow,
sleeping. So
nice
just
play.
A really well played one-on-one situation there from Crisis. Let's see who
Yeah,
that
again,
was. That was smart. I'm trying to see if we can read this guy's number here as he runs by. I'm still learning all the players on Crisis.
That was the second point that came down to 3-on-3, Matty.
I think that was Bannon or Barron.
Banyan tree? Bravo?
I don't think he's a tree, but who knows? Yeah, so that was Tommy Bannon.
Hey, let's fucking go, Carl. Have another
Well, good smart play there, Tommy Bannon.
Well, maybe Barton. That's a little glary out here this morning, but maybe Josh Barton.
Is it glary?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
As in, there's
it's not
a
old age.
glare. My still work great.
Really?
Yeah, I'll battle on long field vision.
What's it say on the bottom of that sign?
450.
Guys, he's making this up. He can't
PSI.
see. He has no idea what he's talking about.
4,500 PSI. And then the other one says 3,000 PSI. Can you read that?
I meant the bottom where it says
There's nothing on the bottom.
county name.
There's nothing.
The
on
name
the
of the county, Chesapeake County. You can't see that?
There's
That's
nothing.
crazy.
You were just making stuff up now.
Good break out here for New York
Whatever,
Xtreme.
you're
Jake
blind.
Carl.
You have glasses.
God on the break. Looking inside. Looks like 5 alive for both teams, Matty. Oh, Omar moves up the center of the field. Looks like he's going to try to go up and shut down the Snake side. Maybe try to cut Jerry off. Oh, Revo losing their first player over here on the Snake side. And Omar out of center. So 5-on-3 advantage here for New York Xtreme.
Yeah, New York Xtreme here. Harris Hussein in the wedge behind the Snake. No one in the Snake currently. See if it's a tie ball game right now after that really long point. 9 minutes and 15 seconds still left in this one. Harris is going to get into the Snake.
Yeah,
And
I don't know if
well, everyone on Revo is really tucked in right now as they have a body coming off, and Henry Sense is going to get out wide here and try to catch Harris sleeping, and he might be able to do it. Oh, free kill for Henry
Harris.
Sense. So this is now definitely 2 times that Henry has shot Harris. He caught Harris filling out, and that was a great move from Harris to get up to that spot, but got to keep that head on a swivel there, buddy, as your friend Henry Sense made you pay on that one. Now that turns the tables a bit on this point because Frank Antetomaso is in really good position all the way in D4.
Well, and what we talked about, Matty, yesterday was zone control, right? So Harris had basically got a kill in front of him, so there was nobody on this side of the field in front of him. But once he dropped his head and went forward, there was nobody to control this zone. So as soon as he did that, Henry filled the corner, got a shot on Harris, now gets a shot across the field on Greg, gets 2 kills, and is turning this game around based on Harris getting caught sloppy there.
And Henry has played some absolutely outstanding counterpunch paintball and great on the attack too. So I talked to him before this event, and he said, "Look, man, we're really focused for this season. We're tired of getting barely knocked out of tournaments on Sunday, deep in the event, and we want to win tournaments." But Henry Sense came to play some paintball this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. He's always like, he's a scrappy dude. He always is fighting to win that point and win that game. He's always in a position to do what he needs to do to win the game, to pull back out for the team. He doesn't seem like he gets tired. And he seems like he can play any position. Like, he's one of those guys who fills all the spots pretty well.
And guys like that are worth their weight in gold.
For sure, man.
So Henry now crawling up. He's got a little help in the center. Oh, there's a nice kill, and that is going to do it. So Henry Sense saving the day here for Revo by shooting out Harris Hussein was the thorn in their side in the Snake. And then I'm not sure if think Zupa might have got that shot on Taylor. It might have been Henry, but still just and a great job by Frank over there on the D side as well. And I think Chris Shear was also alive over there. Chris Shear's been quietly having a really good week.
How do you lose a 5-on-3, Matt?
By playing really sloppy paintball.
Yes, really sloppy individual paintball and not controlling the zones.
Well, the zone control has been an issue on this specific layout because the battle on the snake side and the battle on the D side are slightly removed from each other when you go down the tape line with the big blockers in that center of the field. Obviously, totally dependent on the position that you're in. But we've seen that from lots of teams. But you see Harris get here past the 50-yard line, and he just didn't have somebody looking forward and letting him know that Henry had transitioned out and was looking down that sideline. And then and that's something that you have to keep that in your mind.
The same guy that would have been shooting that shot and keeping him from filling out is the same guy that would have told Harris that he filled out, and that guy was Harris, unfortunately. So once Harris dove into the snake, there was no one to do that.
But somebody has to recognize
that's what I'm saying. So if had Harris turned around and said, hey, listen, I'm going to go the snake, right? There's nobody in front of me. Lock this zone down, and had one of his guys switch to do that, he would have been just fine. But he just put his head down, went forward, and tried to do it himself.
So jumping back into
big point here.
The semi-pro game here between Notorious and Crisis.
3 minutes left.
Yeah,
2-2.
Not as much time left in this one after that really long point, and it's a nice 5-on-5 break. So tied up here on the body count, tied up on the points, and first team to go, though, to attack is going to be in the center of the field. It's going to be Crisis, but losing a player from the backfield.
From that home spot, man, it's so bad.
So better field position, but down a body here for Crisis.
And what I like here is Crisis is attacking, Matt. FSU, these last 3 or 4 points have just played really tentatively and defensively. Even when they've gotten bodies shot early, they just are sitting back and allowing Carolina to put more pressure on them to push down the field.
Which is kind of strange, right? Because I feel that Notorious playing against the pro squads was a little bit more proactive.
I don't know if I don't know if you heard this or not, but they beat Revo yesterday. FSU.
Really?
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
Came out of nowhere. There's some memes and stuff. I don't know if you have the internet where you're staying.
Oh, I think I saw something about that last night. Yeah, no, they had a great game against Revo, but just playing a little bit tentative this morning. Not the first couple points, but his past 2 couple points.
Maybe they peaked.
Well, and they are only running with 5 guys.
Right, true. Yeah, and they were a slow starter. They just start slowly yesterday as well.
And maybe they went out partying last night. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so. So good long point here. Carolina Crisis with 4 bodies, 1 in the center 50.
Well, the last 2 points, they lost Lauder and Marky Franz early.
Yes.
And Marky Franz and Lauder has been a big part of their offense.
For sure.
So that explains the last 2 points. But this one, I don't know, kind of taking the back spots and spreading it out. Tie game maybe worried about making a mistake and throwing away the crucial, potentially game-winning point to Crisis. But Crisis willing to risk a little bit more now. Well, unfortunately, they did lose that body in the backfield.
And I think Crisis maybe understands how to play this field a little bit better. To me, it's not a sit back and lock up field. To me, it's win through the snake.
Well, Notorious is now up a body, but hasn't made any moves.
Yeah.
So they've let Crisis take the spots. They've into the Doritos, up the center of the field. I mean, Crisis is really pushing the issue here. They're in D4 and D2. Well, and they have a body in the brick and a body in Snake 1.
Well, and Lauder's in the God looking inside, so that shows us that he's not looking to go forward. So it's almost like FSU is just going to sit back, shoot their guns, and hope that Carolina Crisis makes a mistake.
Maybe they just didn't see the body come off and don't know they have an advantage. Now we see a big move, but he runs into a gun, could potentially be getting a penalty. No, it looks like he's going to get a clean trade, but Crisis is now in a 3-on-4, but they still own the real estate here. Oh, and they get a kill out of the back corner.
Paul Hubert gets shot early there. Usually he was solid all day yesterday.
Yeah, dropping the ball a little bit here in this one. Still some bodies out there to save this point, but we're running out of time. 28 seconds left to go. Notorious just holding on and trying to take this one into overtime, not give Crisis the last second victory.
Yeah, is it 2-on-3, Matty? 2 FSU guys, 3 Crisis?
Yeah. So this was a 5-on-4 to start things out a couple minutes ago for Notorious, but now a 1-body advantage here for Crisis. But they're not going to have enough time.
No, they're not playing like there's only 10 seconds left.
Yeah, I don't think any. They're playing to take this one to overtime too, which if I was their coach, I'd be a little critical on that. I'd be like,
sure.
Hey, if you know we have an advantage, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be better when we go to 5-on-5, or would you rather play a 3-on-2 or a 5-on-5?
Yeah, how's that work? See, Adams, who played really well yesterday for Carolina Crisis, just looked up at the clock and was like, you guys are timing this stuff? Come on, man. That's not fair.
So heading into overtime here, tied up at 2.
Greg's walking on with the Revo guys. Oh, no, he's going to play with New York. Okay, good call there, Greg. He's just such an easygoing guy. He's like, I don't even care where I play. Whatever, as long as I get a spot. tough field out there for center players like Greg. You know, like he's kind of that center specialist where he plays well everywhere, but kind of better than everybody else in that spot. But
and that's why that's his role.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really like the center. He played this event in Chantilly, or
Yeah.
played this field in Chantilly, and I talked to him, and we were kind of breaking the field down a little bit and trading notes, and he's like, I'm like, what do you think about the center? He's saying, man, I don't know, not a big fan of the center. It's kind of tough out there, and we've seen that. It's some, O'Mara, one of the best players, not just center players, but one of the best players in the NXL period on any pro team. He struggled a little bit yesterday in that loss in the center, but he also had some really good looks in the center of the field. But it's a tough center. Some centers are pretty one-dimensional. You go up there, you look a certain way, you run through. This is not that center.
everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Zupa taking some pressure there on the inside. I hope he doesn't draw another penalty. Looks like he might have got shot cross field by CJ Cantor. Referee's trying to get a look at him.
So Revo still with that 1-point lead off that awesome play of Henry Sense in that last point. A lot of time this one, though. Still 7 minutes and 13 seconds to go.
Yeah, and this is a big test here for New York because this is where they like to implode. This is where that critical point where they usually like to get a penalty or Harris dies early or something like that. So let's see if they can not get a penalty here.
Well, this is where they need to evolve, right?
Yep.
Because Revo's not having a hard time making Sundays. They're just having a hard time getting into the finals.
Yes.
Where you have New York Xtreme, they're having a hard time making Sundays. Sometimes making it, mostly not, going 2-2 a lot, and
playing the margin game.
In these instances, in close games, this is when I would like to see New York Xtreme start making better decisions.
For sure. And a lot of times making better decisions is just not making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Just there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, and just don't push it so far into that can't. 5 alive here for both teams in good positions. Neither team really looking to fly down this field. Both teams are getting a lot of pressure now on the ones. The one over here for Revo is Zupa. He's in the God bunker. Fill out now to the drill. 2 attackers on the drill side.
Jerry Carl coming off
early.
Yeah, getting shot out of his spot, and then also Hennessy is going to go with him. Now Harris Hussein's going to go with him too. So 3 bad deaths out of their positions, very quick, is going to give the advantage, big advantage here to Revo. So Zaleski going to take advantage of this high body situation, and Henry Sense is going to close down and shoot that last player and put balls on him, even though the horn had already blown.
Of course.
And it's CJ Cantor was the last player left alive there for New York Xtreme over on the D side. 2-point lead now for Baltimore Revo.
1 minute.
Yeah, and I didn't like that point from New York. They just seemed like they kind of stalled out, never attacked the snake, never talked to Drew. I like what CJ Cantor was doing over there, stopping/slowing down the snake side.
If you have 3 guys die out of their bunkers within 10 seconds of each other, you're going to lose that point.
You're probably going to lose that point.
Yeah, I mean, Carl comes off. Hennessy walks with him essentially 2 seconds after, maybe 3 after he got shot. And then Harris Hussein also got shot, all separate engagements. It wasn't like Revo made some big dynamic move and had their backs.
They weren't bunkered.
Yeah, yeah, they were definitely not bunkered.
There's no hand grenades involved.
So just need to be a little bit tighter out there. Deaths in bunches, bad news. So 5 minutes on the clock now here in this overtime. Carolina Crisis and Austin Notorious.
They said it was going to be cold this morning, like 15, 16 degrees, but Matt and I, man, nothing bothers us a bit. Nothing bothers us a bit. I didn't even finish my coffee. I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't even need it. 16 degrees doesn't bother me.
They breed you guys tough up in NorCal.
Welcome to the Go Sports coverage of the Winter Olympics here in Chesapeake Bay. Lauder Snake one, off the break, looking inside, looking for the cross shot, trying to shut down the middle moves from Carolina Crisis. Overtime point here, first point scored in this 5-minute period will win the match. If neither team scores, then they'll go to one-on-ones.
Well, if you're a Notorious fan, you're hoping that Lauder and Franz stay alive because they've had some early deaths and it has cost them, as those 2 guys are a big part of their offense.
For sure.
And they only have 5 players, so it's not like they can go to their deep bench and pull
no one's
someone
getting
else
sat,
out.
for sure.
Yeah, so if you're checking this overtime point out here between Crisis and Notorious on Facebook, thank you so much for joining us here in this very crisp and cold morning out in Virginia. But head on over to Go Sports to watch the rest of the battles that are going to be going down today here at Chesapeake Paintball. Matty Marshall with Rich Telford. Who do you got in this one right now, Rich?
Honestly, the momentum shifted towards Crisis, right? The first few points was all SU. The last couple points have been all Crisis. So.
I think that Lauder and Franz, though, in the spots they're in, this is where we've seen them thrive. So
Yes.
I think if those two guys can stay alive, I'll give it to Notorious. But I totally agree with you. Crisis stole the momentum in this game. They were playing aggressive, even down bodies, and you love to see that.
Well, and I like where Lauder is. I'm not a super fan of where Marky's at. That can gets real small, as you know, as they penetrate the tapes. And it's okay to go there if you're shutting down that snake side, but he's going there trying to shut out the Dorito side, just too exposed. FSU player getting a check over there in the backhand. Looks like he's okay. Crisis fills the snake corner, Maddie.
Yeah, everyone playing really tight so far.
Yeah.
Everyone playing tight, but also rolling their guns and talking it up. So it's not like they're just hiding out there. And a couple moves from both squads. Here comes a big move from Notorious.
Big bite.
Takes a big bite, but it works. Gets into D4.
Second Carolina Crisis now filling towards the snake. So 3 dedicated snake side for both teams. 2 dedicated snake Dorito side for both teams. Both teams in very similar positions. Slight advantage to FSU having the snake player. Lauder in the snake. But then here comes Adams from the snake corner right into snake 1. Snake 2.
Adams had some big moments for him yesterday. Let's see if he can step up here in this overtime point now in a little bit better position than Lauder. Lauder's been very content to just be at snake 1 and shoot inside.
Well, he got a lot of kills yesterday doing that, so you go to the well, right? Hey,
you go to the well, but if you're not getting water from it, then might want to head to a different well, right?
I agree, and the same thing he's doing, he can do it as he moves up the field, right? Just keep checking on those inside shots as you move forward.
Yeah, Lauder wrapping around to that inside, putting a lot of pressure on the Crisis player there in the stand-up tower. And then now Lauder's going to mirror the move for Adams. Adams down the sideline, though, does have to worry about that back corner bunker. Both teams with the body in that back corner bunker here on the snake side, so it is mirrored up positionally on the snake side for both squads.
Adams trying to figure out, big move over there from Carolina Crisis on the Dorito side. Gets one. Does he get, and his second guy follows up behind him, gets caught. Oh, the Carolina guy, he did get the first guy, but
he got the first guy, but 2 bodies come off for Crisis on that big move. And only 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go. We may see some one-on-ones. I doubt it, though. I don't think we'll get that far, but Marky Franz is screaming at the referees, begging for a penalty. Still 4 bodies. It's a little bit of an advantage here for Notorious.
Well, yeah, Notorious needs to figure out that all 3 players for Crisis are on this tape and start pushing down.
Exactly.
There goes Paul Hubert out of that Dorito corner. He's got the ball. He needs to go down the tape.
Yeah, it is definitely the D side right now of Paul over there. It's up to him. No one's in front of him. He just has to worry, and he's going to get another kill. So Carolina Crisis in a real bad spot right now. Just 2 bodies left alive. They're both here on the snake side of the field. 1 minute and 10 seconds left to go. Somebody on Crisis needs to step up and get a kill. And then for Notorious, they need to close this one out smart, but they don't have a ton of time to work with here, Rich.
Yeah, they should have contained, let that guy in the blue not get from the God over to the back center. That's going to hurt him. Lauder, though, can make a move here down the tape, get the guy in front of him.
Lauder had a moment in that transition here. He's going to go inside and get cut to pieces. So beautiful job by Crisis to get that player over to that back center. There was a moment there where Lauder had an opportunity.
Oh, for sure. Back center was looking the other way. Snake was looking the other way. Both guys looking to real.
So that's Austin Castor, who was able to, in the blue jersey for Crisis, who was able to get across and protect Adams here. Now here comes a move from Franz in the center of the field, trying to get the drop on Adams. Adams is looking that way, though, and now we only have 25 seconds, Rich. I think we may see some one-on-ones.
I don't know if they do one-on-ones in this
They
format.
better do one-on-ones.
Oh, there's a 4th. Oh, no.
That's Castor again controlling.
Oh, he's lucky.
Oh, Castor protected Adams again.
Yep.
Oh, but then Castor gets shot by Marky Franz, and so Marky Franz might be able to get, it's actually 2-on-1. But the player for Notorious is picking paintballs up off the ground, I think.
I think it's Paul Hubert.
Marky Franz is going to steal this one with just, I don't think he got it in time.
I think he did.
Did he? I heard the buzzer blow.
No point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard the buzzer blow as he was starting his dive. Well, entertaining overtime point.
Hey, man, I love that. That's a great point.
That was a great point.
As much as semi-pro guys trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah,
FSU could have dropped the hammer a little quicker.
I'll tell you what, though, that was a fun point to watch, but that's a good learning experience for both these squads, man. There was opportunities missed, a lot of opportunities missed out here from both sides.
Crisis could have won the first one.
Yeah.
Not gone to overtime, and then FSU should have won that.
Well, Lauder could have made that move when Castor was making his move across, and that would have won the point. But Castor in a really bad spot. I mean, his D side was completely blown open.
Yeah.
and he made a couple moves across to get back to that back center and then look over Adams and got 2 kills.
Paul Hubert was over there picking up paint, right?
Yeah.
So it might have been a different game had Paul had one more pot on his back.
Well, paint management, man. I would get as back guys, you know, that was something I'd get so angry at people. I can't remember ever shooting my gun dry. You just can't do that. You know, you have to be able to always have paintballs, man.
Yeah. Now 2 point
kind of
lead
important
here for Revo. It's going to put a lot of pressure on NYX to try to get a relatively quick point here. And yeah, it looks like they do something sloppy there and lose Jerry Caro on the break.
I really hope they do the one-on-ones because this is an exhibition. These guys are supposed to be getting ready for the tournaments. You have to recreate the tournament situation, and they would be playing one-on-ones in a tournament.
And it's not just about what entertains us, Matt. We go Will Hennessy and Harris Hussein in the snake now. Harris is going right down the snake side. He's got 2 players in front of him. Oh, he's going to get caught.
If New York Xtreme steps up, they have the time to score 2 points to tie this one up. But it looks like Henry Sense is going to try to get in here and shoot Harris for the 3rd time.
Yeah. Harris is getting pressure from across the field in the Dorito. And obviously he's got Henry right in front of him. Doesn't know which way Henry's gun is looking. Will Hennessy falls behind Harris to try to protect him.
Yeah, Henry does not know that Harris is in that spot. Yeah, and that's going to cost him. So
they traded. And you can't afford to trade there if you're Harris.
Yeah, that was definitely can't afford to trade, but Henry just had no idea that Harris was in there.
Yeah, which is another reason why.
O'Mara is, we might see a penalty on this one. Oh, they're going to be arguing right now. So O'Mara running down Hennessy, but Revo still alive over there with Chris Shear.
Going through the middle.
Yeah, Chris Shear's having a pretty good tournament for them, man.
Yep.
He seems to always be alive and up pretty far on the D side.
I like it when people are always alive. Is he still wearing that Max Trailer jersey?
Yes.
He's like, did you guys think it was Max Trailer? I was like, no, we knew. We know who you are.
I didn't know it was Chris Shear, though. I knew that it wasn't Max Trailer.
I sensed it.
Such a liar. Yeah, I knew it wasn't Max Trailer. He has a very distinctive run. So it wasn't him, but still. But yeah, so I think that's a, Chris Shear's played on, some up-and-coming teams, lower-ranked pro teams over the years, and this is an opportunity for him that he's making the most of. Because
Revo, like they're doing one-on-ones.
Thank God.
Man, how great an opportunity is it for these guys to be able to get out here in front of everybody and play one-on-one?
So it looks like, is that Barton that they're putting out here? Let's see, for Crisis.
Smart point for us earlier.
Yeah, I think it's 67. If he turns his back again. Yeah, so it's going to be Josh Barton out there for Crisis.
I think it might be Lauder.
Yeah, I think that is Lauder. So Lauder versus Barton.
Interesting, they both break Dorito side.
Well, the D side is, I'd rather play a one-on-one from the D side.
Yeah, most people tend to break out right-handed if they're, right-hand dominant.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected the Carolina Crisis guy to come to the tower on the snake side. He could be left-handed, though, or he could just be reading and reacting to what the FSU guy did, which is hiding in the back.
Well, just kind of filling each other out right here in this one-on-one situation. Barton makes his move on the D side. I think it is smarter to go to the D side than the snake side. So Barton's going to go all the way, take a ton of ground, and try to lose Lauder, and then he's going to get that quick kill here on a Lauder. Or did they trade?
I don't know. I see paint on his goggles, but I don't know what they're going to call.
I don't see any celebration either. Well,
so looks like we're going to the next round.
Yeah, I think they might have traded. Heading into the next round of one-on-ones.
Yes.
Barton definitely trying to get the drop on Lauder, and it looked like for a second that Lauder lost him, but Lauder able to keep his gun up and get that kill.
Yep.
Who was it? Ty Bateman. Okay, yeah, Ty Bateman. So you always know what team, who the team thinks is the best gunfighter is who they send out for one-on-ones.
Yeah, that's why I throw you out there.
I appreciate that.
Giddy up, Matty. The rest of us is going to drink some beer and bitch if you lose and celebrate if you win.
Save me some of the beer for either the consoles beer or the celebration
or my
beer.
Cheers. NYX here has to turn it around, man. This is where they get down on themselves and start to implode a little bit. I'd like to see some more leadership out of there by Harris Hussein. I'd like to see Jerry Caro flying down that snake. But Revo's been kind of taking the wind out of their sails a little bit.
30 seconds.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, let's shoot when these dickheads at the fucking break right now.
Yeah, the wind is definitely out of the sails of New York Xtreme. But with 4 minutes and 36 seconds left, down by 3, definitely enough time. We saw Revo yesterday when they lost to Notorious almost put up 3 points in 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Yeah.
They put up 2, and then they needed about maybe another second and a half
Ish.
to get that third point, but they weren't able to do it, ended up losing by 1. So quick points are definitely possible. It definitely is going to help to get a couple kills off the break if you're New York Xtreme. So we'll see if Revo can stay alive here, and it looks like they do go pretty conservative.
Yeah, looks like,
At least initially, though.
Jay Cannon gets shot at the rear side. Jerry Carl gets shot on the snake.
Yeah, so tough break here for New York Xtreme. The heavy gun lineup worked for Revo. It's a 5-on-3 situation for them. They did, on the delay, take some ground on that D side after initially going with heavy guns, and then now really pushing it as they understand they have a big lead, and
I like
also a real high body situation.
Yeah, Zaleski's going right down that snake, no hesitation.
That's wall chessing.
Oh, sorry, Chesson. Harris Hussein's might get caught there in the middle of the field. Oh. So 1, 2, 3 on 2, 3 on 4. Revo's complete controls game. Anybody out there in the internet land that is watching this lovely broadcast on Go Sports and might be coming down to the beautiful Chesapeake Paintball Park today, don't be afraid to bring Maddie and I a cup of coffee. We really appreciate it.
That would be great.
Sounds like Harris is
a little angry.
His team
A little
to
angry.
Continue to do such a good job.
Guys, you're doing great. We need a little bit more out of you.
Henry's
I
like,
love you.
Why are you crying so much, Harris?
Shoot the fucking right. Back the fuck up.
Love that New York energy.
Well, they've got to be pretty frustrated. New York Xtreme had a pretty decent day yesterday.
Yep.
They beat the Outlaws by 2. They beat NRG Elite by 2. And that was their third game.
They started off playing this match
Oh, no,
really
and
well.
they beat Notorious.
Yeah, they started off playing this match really well.
New York
but-
Xtreme was undefeated
Yeah,
yesterday.
Revo turned it around and put it on him, and then when that happened, instead of New York stepping up and playing better, they kind of shut down and started dying in clusters.
Yeah. Well, we knew how frustrated and angry we were going to see Revo this morning.
Yes.
And I was wondering how they were going to respond to the loss to a semi-pro team. So we're jumping back in to the semi-pro team that beat them, Notorious, and they're going into one-on-one. So it's Marky Franz for Notorious, and gotta wait to see the number here for Crisis. But little.
I was kind of surprised Markey wasn't in for the first point for FSU, because he's a pretty good gunfighter and he moves pretty well.
Yeah, he's definitely one of their more dynamic and mobile players.
Yeah.
Definitely a big part of their offense.
And if you watched the film yesterday, you can see he's amazing at not getting shot after getting shot.
That's tough to do in a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So now Crisis going to be choosing to go to this D side, but like you said, a lot of guys love to go with the right dominant hand. Now Marky's going to actually mirror that, but then he's going to go back to the center again. So being a little bit more proactive here as Crisis is now he's going to cut all the way to the center field and come to the brick. So some unconventional choices here in a one-on-one.
Yeah. So we talk about bunker selection. That's a tough bunker to choose to fight out of, and he
Oh,
gets caught.
and then he does get caught. So Marky Franz is going to be clean, it looks like.
One-on-one champion, Mark Franz.
Yeah, so those were a couple unconventional choices here for the Carolina Crisis. I understand going with your right hand, but choosing to go towards the snake side and then also choosing to go up to the brick.
Both of those are bad
It
choices.
it can work out. It definitely can work out. The brick is not the best gunfighting spot. Also, that guy didn't really look that tall, so it's tough to play the brick if you're
Now
under
he can't
6
see out
foot
of his
tall.
bunker.
1 minute.
He said I shot him going around. I shot him.
Let's see if New York Xtreme they're not going to win this match with 2:54 left unless they do something just crazy. But what I'd like to see is them come out and play a good, solid point. Just win a couple points, you know, show that they're not mentally falling apart, that they're still strong, they're still confident. Revo's not just a better team than them, just, you know, playing better.
Yeah, New York Xtreme still has 2 more games to play today, so they definitely don't want to start to get mentally down.
No, which they obviously are.
Yeah, a little frustration in the pits there after that last point loss. So, but a little under 4 minutes to go, 3:54 on the clock, but a 4-point spread right now for Revo 6-2.
Yep. And one thing New York has been doing well this event, in the past, in these situations, they've drawn some penalties. I think they just got the 1 penalty yesterday, so hopefully they can not get any penalties in this match.
It's been a relatively clean game.
Yeah, win a couple points and just get their heads right.
One of the points that New York Xtreme won, the penalty was assessed on Revo with Zupa getting that minor.
Right. Harris, man, he gets a good start.
So on the breakout right now, looks like a 5-on-5 break. And here comes Harris on a delay, going to get up into the brick in the center of the field, but good zone control here from Revo. And now New York Xtreme going to be pushing up on that D side. Still 5 bodies here for Revo, just trying to grind this clock down.
Jerry gets caught attacking the snake.
Well, they're definitely rolling the dice and trying to make these moves, but they're just running right into Revo's guns.
Yeah. A little bit too little, a little bit too late, right?
Yeah, Chris Shear, though, still alive all the way in D4 for New York Xtreme. Got Josh Taylor behind him. Both those guys have been playing very well for New York Xtreme in their undefeated day yesterday, but then Shear's going to run right into the gun and get a penalty. That's going to pull out Trailer, and that is definitely going to do it here for this point. As soon as Revo figures out what the count is.
As soon as they figure out there's no more bad guys.
Yeah, now we're getting into mercy rule territory here, Rich.
Yeah, and again, Revo is playing offensively. They're winning the breakouts. They're shooting a couple guys and then going. New York Xtreme is losing 2 guys early almost every point, sometimes 3.
Well, and Revo's also making the correct decisions when the point is close.
Yep.
So when it is even on the count and New York Xtreme is threatening and putting bodies forward, Revo's making the better decisions, getting those crisper snapshots and the crisper moves out there, and that's why there's been really kind of starting to run up the score pretty well. Yeah, it's a really good look for Revo here. I was interested to see how they would respond.
Yeah.
They looked really frustrated. I know they had a pretty vicious meeting last night.
Usually that's kind of one of those earmarks of a good team. Is when a good, like back in the old days when we were on the Ironman, if we would drop to a team, whoever we played next, no matter if they was the best team in the world or the worst team in the world, we were smashing them beyond belief because we were so mad at ourselves for our previous mistakes that we had to go prove that we weren't horrible at playing paintball.
Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, this is if you're a Revo fan, what you were hoping that you would see. Now, if you're a New York Xtreme fan, with the way they went undefeated yesterday and then posting hilarious memes and making fun of Revo last night, they knew they were going to get a tuned-up Revo this morning. But New York Xtreme just kind of grinding their gears on the offense a little bit, making some bad decisions. And
trying to force it now.
Yeah,
right?
trying to force it a little bit. And then Revo just with bigger moments. Anytime that New York Xtreme looked like they were trying to turn the tables in the game, obviously past couple points, it's been New York Xtreme really trying to push it down some points, not a lot of time left, reckless attack time.
Once you're down 3 or 4 points, it's almost like it's not a real game anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not going to knock Harris or Caro for running into those lanes. What are you going to do? You're down 3-4 points with
truncated time,
4 minutes left.
Less and less.
You have to try to push it at that point in time and take those high-risk moves. And Revo knows that, and they've just tightened up those zones and also came out with a more conservative game plan to watch those zones.
Well, and that's where you want to be, right? You want to be leading by 2 or 3 points, forcing the other team to attack into the zones that you're shooting, get a couple kills, and then go back and pad your score.
Yeah.
It gets much, much easier on that side of the field. Let's see what NYX can do to step up here. I'd like to see Jerry Caro fly down the snake, maybe. They lose Greg over there on the break, and they lose Jerry over here on the break.
Yeah, it's a little frustration setting in right now. It definitely does look like it's going to be a mercy rule win here for Revo, as they got a pretty high body situation. Looks like CJ Cantor is going to move up, though, into D4 to try to present some sort of offense. O'Mara going to get into a good spot here on the snake side and just try to put the finishing touches on this game. I don't know if Revo is aware that CJ Cantor is in D4.
I don't think so, because if he looks in this way, Zupa's dead, right?
Well, it looks like a kill there on Taylor. I think that came from O'Mara. And then O'Mara now is definitely going to know that CJ Cantor is over in that spot, and he's going to get that kill. And this one's going to be
punish somebody, but there's nobody left.
O'Mara's like, who else can I put bonus balls on? Oh,
Revo
nobody?
went to 5.
Yeah, so Henry looks immediately up over at us, and he's like, did you like that? It's like, yes, we did, Henry. That was a very, very well-executed, amazing game.
Yeah, and it's always fun when someone's chirping at you and you get to shut them up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he told me this morning, he said, the biggest way to get back at New York Xtreme for what they were saying about us last night is to go out and mercy roll. So that's our plan. That's what we're going to try to do this morning. And they did exactly what Henry said they were going to do. They were going to have more offense on this snake side. They're going to play smarter. O'Mara was going to play tighter, and he did. I mean, O'Mara played amazing in their first 2 games.
Yeah.
Again, I love watching Stephen O'Mara play paintball. He's phenomenal. He just had a bad game, and so did Zaleski, and so did Zupa in that loss they took to Notorious yesterday. But every one of those guys made it up here today.
Yep.
At least so far this morning.
Yeah, it's got to be super frustrating for New York because they were playing so well yesterday, and they're playing the rivals this morning. They were kind of giving them a hard time, and they went out and played a couple good points, but then from then on it was all Revo, and they had no answers.
Well, if you look at the point, like New York Xtreme really only had one real good solid point, because the other
You're
point.
not counting the penalty point?
Yeah, the penalty point was a little bit of a gift, and Carl took advantage of it so quickly So yeah, but 2 more games to go here for New York Xtreme, as they will be playing Carolina Crisis around noon, and then they're going to be playing the MLKings in the next set, so they'll be able to get it right back here.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you were joining us on Facebook, checking out this exhibition, Pro Paintball here, head on over to Go Sports to watch the rest. The next set coming out is going to be NRG Elite taking on the Outlaws for their first set of the day, and then MLKings going to be taking on New York Xtreme. So stick with us here. I'm Matty Marshall with Rich Telford, and we'll be right back.
Minutes.
Let's go. On the field. Come on. Let's get it. And then switch over.